All right, so last night at UFC 323, we had Petr Yan reclaiming his title as the UFC bantamweight champion. During that fight, he hit Merab with a gnarly body kick that we're going to break down the components of. And if you're new here, the channel's name is Combat Athlete Physio, where we take human movement science and we bring it to the combat sports. And so the way we're going to break down the components of this kick is starting with the leg that's planted on the ground, his pivot leg, then we'll move up to the trunk, and then we'll actually look at the leg kicking at the very end. Okay, so the leg that's planting on the ground is a couple of things I want you to notice. One is the amount of hip extension coupled with external rotation happening from muscles like the glute max and the hamstrings. They both extend the hip, but the glute max extends and externally rotates at the same time. So really powerful there. We can't see his foot, but we know from people who do really good round kicks that he's coming up onto his toes and he's spinning on that hip. So it's not like it's externally rotating the entire time. It's just kind of staying at whatever degree of external rotation it's at as he swings and pivots around using his lumbothoracic spine, or where the lumbar spine meets the thoracic spine, or thoracolumbar spine, however you want to say it. Now let's move up to that part of the spine. As he plants his foot on the ground, you can see he gets more upright. So using those spinal erectors that travel all the way up the spine, the erector spinae is that muscle group. There are several muscles there, but they are very active here. After that, he actually flexes the trunk using muscles like the rectus abdominis, and then side bends to get that really good position where he can switch his hips and kick to the liver with the internal and external oblique on the opposite side. So you can see the rectus abdominis here. He's really lean, so you're able to see the outline of that muscle. So spinal extension and then trunk flexion, at least down here in the abdominal region of the trunk. So we see the rectus abdominis flexing the spine, and then along with the rotation, we see that lateral side bending to the left with the internal and external obliques. Now, as this is all happening, we're seeing a pretty good biomechanical principle show up here called the stretch reflex. So the muscles in the front of the thigh, as he begins to extend his hips and his spine, are put on a stretch. They're elongating. It's called an eccentric muscle contraction. And after that eccentric muscle contraction, it goes through what's called the amortization phase, and it switches from the eccentric into concentric. And when that happens, that big stretch reflex is what it's called. It allows him to use the muscles at the front of the thigh, like the hip flexors and the knee extenders. So that would be muscles like the psoas, the rectus femoris, the TFL, and then the muscles like the quadriceps, respectively, to flex the hip and then extend the knee or straighten the knee at the same time, and really create this powerful kick that Merab just is forced to eat here, which is actually pretty insane that he just ate that and backed up and just kind of kept going like he did. But I forgot one component. As this happens, he's also plantar flexing using muscles like the gastroc and the soleus. You can't see it here because of the speed of the camera, wasn't able to pick it up, but he's pointing his toes so that he makes contact with that upper right quadrant where the liver sits. So this is why the upper right quadrant is where people try to kick or punch a lot. We see this in boxing. We also see this a lot in kickboxing and Muay Thai and all these other striking sports. This is a spot of vulnerability, because if we don't do what Merab does here, so just before the kick hits, his reaction time was pretty good here. He actually side bent, like kind of crunched down. He couldn't get his elbow down to block it, but you see he kind of side bent to the right a little bit. So muscles like the external and the internal obliques there. You've also got the mass of the rib cage and the lat, and depending on how high up it hit, it looked like he hit a little bit lower, but the serratus could also provide a little bit of cushion as well. That's kind of higher up in the armpit, but really good execution. Merab was not fast enough to drop that elbow and block it, but he took it like a champ. He took a lot of shots like a champ that night, but I mean, the dude is just full of grit. But congratulations to Petr Yan for reclaiming his title. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.